The positive side of being a stripper. Here we go. So I'd say the first positive side, obviously, to be a dancer is the money. Okay, let's face it.
This video is a learning lesson for a lot of women out there who think being promiscuous and or becoming a stripper, doing OF, doing any type of S work is going to get them ahead in life, because in all reality, it's not. If anything, it's going to take you back down, lower than you've ever been before, if not worse. And this woman right here is going to talk about it. Now, it's very interesting how she frames her conversation, because basically she's saying all men are bad, but we'll get to that. But the more important lesson here is don't do this type of work. Don't do this type of activity, because you're only going to ruin your life. You think, oh, I have my shit together. It's not going to jade me. It's not going to make me look at men differently. Yeah, you may think all of that. You may think the money is fast. The money is cool. I can live this certain type of lifestyle. But in all reality, you're literally damaging yourself every single second that you parade yourself around for these men. And it's not a men thing. It's not a woman thing. This is just a human nature thing. So you can't put it off as, oh, it's all these men and men are the problem. No, it's you yourself for putting yourself in this position, and these types of men that are going to see this type of behavior. It's the both of you. This is the underbelly of society, and don't ever forget it. Let's get into the video.
Part, I think, 5 of what the strip club has taught me about men. Trigger warning, okay, this is like more of like a dark discussion that we're gonna have, so there are gonna be mentions of, DV and abuse and stuff like that. So I just want to give a warning to anyone, because the information that I give is going to be very, very sensitive and triggering for a lot of women. So I was able to leave the club without really being jaded, because thankfully I came from a very strong matriarch of women, and women who were very honest with me about men. So I never did drugs at the club. I never found a way to escape being at the club. I was in college. I literally was diamond from the Players Club. The only reason why I was there was to just make enough money for college. That's it. I didn't care about anything else. Even the days I hated being there, I just sucked it up and just made my money, and I just went home and just avoided all the bullshit that I possibly could. I just stayed under the radar and didn't partake in anything that could be damaging to me or my psyche, my mental, my physical, anything like that, because I had a career that I was focused on achieving, and I had a goal that was focused on achieving.
Okay, we got to stop it right there. And I'm not attacking this woman. We're just going to learn lessons from her. First of all, there's so many things that she said that we just got to unpack here. So she said she was born in a matriarchal family, meaning probably by her mother, grandmother, and so on. Meaning none of those women know how to pick and choose men, because if they did, the father would be around, the grandfather would be around. That's not a shot at her. This is just my observation. This is reality. So this is probably not the best group of women to get information about men. Maybe bad men, maybe men who want nothing to do with women and only use and abuse them. But when it comes to a happy relationship, a husband, a father, these are not the women that you want to go to get this type of advice from. Another thing, you say you were able to leave that type of world without being jaded, and yet here you are making this video specifically talking about the nature of men. And this isn't even the nature of men. This is the underbelly of society. This is the underbelly of men, the lowlives, the users, the abusers. These are not real men. If anything, these are boys that just happen to age, and now they're an older male, but you can't really call them a man. And to pass off this information to other women as if this is how all men are is just irresponsible. You're obviously jaded by the type of work that you did that put you in this situation with these types of males. And how stereotypical do you have to be? The fact that you're paying off college tuition by doing this type of work? Ma'am, you did it to yourself. You could have worked at McDonald's. You could have become a barista at Starbucks to pay your college tuition. Lord knows a lot of women, a lot of people in general are doing that. You don't have to do S work. You don't have to go on OnlyFans. You don't have to become a stripper. Ma'am, you did this to yourself. Your mother, your grandmother should have advised you that getting into this line of work, this profession, is going to have an adverse effect on your mental. As far as I'm concerned, you did this to yourself. And if you were that low on funds, why not try to apply for grants, scholarships, and stuff like that? There's always another way. You just wanted to do this, and I would not be surprised if your mother and grandmother did this in their past. Let's keep going.
But most of the women that work in the club cannot say the same thing. Personally, I would never encourage a woman to do any type of sex work like that without having another thing that she's focused on, like another passion that she's funneling the money toward or funneling the money into. Because when you're just reliant on the club, you're in survival mode. And putting yourself in survival mode is putting you in very vulnerable predicaments with men. And one of the things that being in the club taught me about men is that men are always looking for prey in women. Always. It doesn't matter if they came to the strip club or not. These are also the relationships that these women had with men. And do not comment anything saying that this is a reflection of the women that worked in the club. If you comment that, you're getting blocked immediately. Because just because you decided to go into sex work does not mean that you should ever be a victim of domestic violence, abuse, or even being unalived. There was one woman who I worked with at the club, and there was a hotel next door, and she was unalived by one of the clients that she went home with in the hotel next door. I've danced with girls who have went missing. I've danced with girls who were in very, very abusive relationships with men, having to give their money to men at the end of the night when they're done working, not having access to their own vehicle, having children by men and their child being put in very compromising and very unsafe situations. So that way the woman has to leave work and she has to miss out on money. So that way, that way she can take care of her children.
So she's making generalizations about men, but she says not to make the same generalizations about these women that get into this line of work. So all men are trying to find vulnerabilities within women, but when it comes to women that want to do S work, they're just all saints. They're just all good people who just want to make some extra money by using their body. And whatever happens to them, that's just the evilness of men in general. Yeah, I doubt that. I'm pretty sure the majority of women who get into S work have some type of mental instability as well as gross narcissism or mental issues that make them want to be this way, to put themselves on display, to get that validation and attention more than the average person. Because this also goes against religious, moral, cultural norms, and everybody knows this is what you are not supposed to do, specifically as a woman. The fact that you're not even modest in itself goes so far and above certain cultures' expectations. It's like, yeah, you're doing this to yourself. Maybe it's because you want to be a contrarian. Maybe it's because you think you're going to find some type of liberation within doing this, but then look what happens. You have nothing but emotional trauma, traumatic experiences, and now you're going to project that onto all men. Like I said, if there's any women watching, do not do this type of work. This woman is spelling it out right here for you.
The predatory nature of men was just very, very apparent in the strip club. Thankfully, nothing happened to me. Thankfully, I never put myself in any of those predicaments, but this is why it's just so imperative for women to just understand the predatory and the dark nature of men, because they're looking for someone weak. They're looking for a good target. They're looking for a good victim. And when you are putting yourselves in predicament where, you have to financially rely on a man, you're codependent, you're mentally unstable, things like that, you're a very good victim for a man to abuse you and to, potentially even may unalive you. And so I understand that this talk is like very, very serious, but this is why I make the content that I make, because I don't want women to lose their life. I don't want women to jeopardize their career, jeopardize their livelihood, throw away their own life because they didn't understand, they weren't equipped with the information, that they needed.
Now do you see exactly what I'm talking about? She said that I got out of there unscathed. I'm not jaded. I'm not hardened by my experience. Ma'am, you just said all men are predators. Are you kidding me? How can you say that with a straight face? Now, I understand and I empathize with your situation based on the profession that you chose, but that's your fault. You projecting and acting as if all men are those specific types of men that are in the strip club. That's not reality. Why would you ever even say that? Why would you project that into the world? Knowing that that's your reality, that's your experiences, and that doesn't speak for all men. And like I said, this is very irresponsible to pass this information on to young women, young impressionable women who have no life experience, specifically with dating and men in general. Oh, but it gets worse. Just watch what she says right after this. But before that, I just want to bring up what she said once again. The fact that she was raised in a matriarchy, her mother and her grandmother. Did they not teach you not to be around this profession? Did they not teach you not to be around those types of men? Because it seems like those are the types of men that you just went right after and you wanted to work around those types of men to experience those types of feelings. It seems like it's a cultural legacy, a cultural cycle that was embedded in you, indoctrinated in you from your mother and from your grandmother. You could have become a barista or a cashier, but instead you wanted to do stripping. This is your fault.
Understanding that men are dangerous people is important. masculinity is directly tied to danger. The only emotion that most men understand is anger, and it's going to be anger taken out on other people. They don't know how to emotionally regulate. They don't. They only know how to act out in anger by some type of physical means. And because you're smaller and because you're more vulnerable, they're going to take it out on you. And if they don't take it out on you, they're going to take it out on their children. There's a lot of women that are in marriages and that are in, long-term committed relationships that they're getting abused and they don't even realize it. They don't even understand the psychological warfare that they're undergoing because a man is doing it. They don't even realize it. And by the time they do realize it, it's too late. They can't put the pieces of the puzzle back together. They're isolated. They have no friends. They have no family. They're far away. They don't have anyone. And then they have children too, which is trapping them and making it even more difficult for them. So yeah, in short, me just understanding and seeing the dangerous nature of men, it taught me to be very, very protective of myself when it comes to, dealing with men. Don't go over to their house, if you haven't, had a long vetting process with them outside of an intimate environment. Don't give vulnerable locations. Do not tell them where you work at. Do not tell them your whereabouts. Personally, I don't even give, if I'm dating, I don't give them my social media. I don't even give them my social media. You have to understand that you have to stay very guarded when it comes to men. And I understand the love, the light, the openness, the vulnerability. Yes, I get that. But they have to earn that. That has to be something that is earned. Because if you just give it to them and they haven't earned it, they're going to abuse it. They're going to abuse the power that you give them by leading them with love. Because they don't understand that language of love. They don't.
Once again, how can you say that? That masculinity is directly tied to danger. Are you insane? Just look up the definition of what masculinity is. It has nothing to do with violence or danger. It has everything to do with stoicism, emotional control, emotional mastery, as well as being a protector, being able to logically, rationally think and then make an informed decision. That's probably something you should have done before going into this profession. Masculinity means to be courageous. It means to be brave. It means to be bold, assertive, someone who is righteous and stands up for what's right. Obviously, you can impose a negative aspect of masculinity, but what is masculinity in itself is positive. It's something that's necessary and needed on this planet, in this world. To assert that men are natural predators and we want to take advantage of all women is just irresponsible, ridiculous, disingenuous, and disgusting. And now we can truly see that you have been jaded by your past profession. That is your fault, ma'am. Don't blame all men. Blame those specific men in those isolated incidents in which it happened. She's taking full accountability and responsibility away from women altogether and blaming men. What about all these other women who are dangerous, who are manipulators, abusers, these women out here that are getting into relationships with other women and they're still having fights and fighting? Because maybe it's human nature, maybe it has something to do with that individual specifically and not this group of people altogether. Yeah, ma'am, you just sound hurt. You sound jaded. You sound hardened based on your experiences, and that's nobody's fault but your own. I'm still stuck on the part where your mom and your grandmother raised you. How did they not give you this information? You say that they did, and yet you still ended up in the club. They must not have done a good job. I'm very weary of people in general out here, so you should be cautious when it comes to meeting new people, whether it's coworkers, friends of friends, or just people out in general when it comes to dating. But this idea that men are naturally predatory is just insane and ridiculous. Now we understand the mindset that you have and the dynamic that you want within a relationship. You want to be the leader. You want to run that man just so you know for a fact that he can't hurt you. And it speaks volumes to the fact that you're single. It speaks volumes to the fact that you still are in the club. It speaks volumes to the fact that you're an older woman now and still haven't learned how to get along with a man, how to be with a man, and you're spreading this misinformation irresponsibly to the younger generation, the younger crowd of women that are coming up these days. Specifically on TikTok, that's a damn kids app. That's about it. I thought we were going to have a deeper breakdown and go into a deeper analysis, but she never gave any real information. All it was just projection. She basically just told us the evil bad men that go to the strip club, yeah, they're evil and bad, so stay away from them. Everything else was a projection. Everything else was misinformation, not true, based on personal experience. There was absolutely no critical thinking or rational thinking whatsoever. I understand where she's coming from, but at the exact same time, those are those specific types types of male. That's not all men. That's not men in general. Men in general are not predatory. If you guys are still here watching, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.